Well, it looks like it's going to be one of those technical difficulty nights.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I had to restart the software. It told you waiting on host, and the host was sitting here waiting on you.
Well, you're waiting no more because I am here.
No, I was beginning to get worried. Thought I might have to fly solo for a little bit. I was getting all nervous.
I heard that. I heard that. Well, you won't want to fly solo tonight, I don't think, especially if you happen to glance at the notes page because it is a mess.
Oh, well, I looked for notes and I didn't see the notes. We are all discombobulated again. Let's see. Hold on. Let me see if I can find those daggum things.
Well, I think it
Uh,
would be show 196. And, you know, there's a lot going on, it seems like nationally. Locally, not so much. I mean, there was a little bit of activity in Bossier City today and, got a little bit of notes jotted down about what took place at the council meeting. And hey, you will be happy to know, I got to tell you, I was King David impressed me today. I
Wait,
saw
what? Am
King
I?
David.
Hold on. Let me
You
check my
heard
earpiece.
you heard me right. King David impressed me today. I think if he carried himself the way he carried himself today, he would make a lot of fans. I
Really?
think he would. I think he
Uh,
would.
well, I'm glad you watched that because I didn't get to watch any of it. I was dealing with some clients, let's say, on the tech front. So I'm glad that you were so impressed with King David today. I swear I've got to check this earpiece and make sure I'm hearing things correctly.
Well, I just, I'll just have to show you and, here later. And hey, do you know about the tech apocalypse?
Wait, what? Some apparently I missed out on a bunch of stuff today. Alls I know is that Haughton, your hometown, builds buildings backwards. That's all I know. It's like they're planning on building a skating rink there or something, and everybody skate backwards. I don't know. So what's the deal with the
Yeah,
tech apocalypse?
yeah. But are they talking about the skating rink down south of Haughton off of 157? So
I have no
all you
idea.
all you H Town people, do y'all remember that? Do y'all remember where the skating rink was down south of Haughton off of 157?
That would definitely be beyond me. So yeah, let us know. We got about 30 something people watching. So any of y'all from Haughton in the comments, do y'all remember the skating rink? I think every little town had a skating rink. Ruston used to have a skating rink, for that matter.
Well, this one was off in the sticks. It was out there, and there's not many people. They would have to be at least in their 50s to possibly even remember there's or have any knowledge of it. But there was a skating rink down there, and we'll cover that in a minute.
All right.
So, so buildings backwards in H Town. I mean,
Yeah.
is that some police jury mandate now that they're making people build
Well,
buildings backwards?
our mutual friend that we shall not name was throwing some deals around saying, "Oh, it's Doty's fault." He wanted to take some jabs at Doty at every opportunity, and I just figured why not reach out to one of the business owners there, and he also happens to be, I guess, the developer and the owner of it. I'll let him tell us when he comes on here in a few minutes, but why not get the word straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak, from the boots on the ground, the guy that has to face the street backwards?
I think that's the way you do things. I think it is. Well,
Yeah.
why don't we go to break? And when we come back, let's dispense with all of that information. So if you're from H Town, y'all might want to share this out. We're going to be talking about, H Town politics, apparently.
Yeah, sounds like a plan. All right, folks, y'all know the drill. We're going to do our 3 minute countdown, our little 30-second intro and ads to help pay the software bills. We'll be back in about 3.5 minutes. Tag and share this out and text people. Let everybody know we're on our soapbox again tonight for a little while. We'll be back in about 3.5 minutes, and we're going to skate backwards. All right, here we go.
A lot of the back office on the politicians that they think walk on water, they would be shocked. There's an old wound from a knife in my back that just is giving me heck lately, and it's just really irritating. So I have kind of wiggle around a little bit.
Well, I've not heard my name and stable or Baton Rouge and stable in the same sentence in a long time.
And I titled it "A Shot Across the Bow of the Good Old Boys."
Just, they feel helpless, they don't feel heard, they have nowhere to turn.
Some Republicans as well believe that government has the answers. And let me tell y'all something. I don't know anything government does well. Nothing.
Aren't there laws that say that you have public meetings so that the public can have accountability of their elected officials?
They're making a little bit of progress, but I would definitely have to give the race to Caddo Parish right now.
I don't know. Is there anybody from Plain Dealing watching, you think?
As a member of the media, I'm very concerned about what I've just heard.
Did you not requisition some money to fight against this or for it?
We hired a lobbyist, and it cost us $15,000. We were opposed to HB 630.
So for this week, folks, the cockroach of the week, according to Bossier Watch and Duke Lowry and Rex Moncrief, is
Raymond Cruz legislative assistant, Allie Feaster Smith. Thank you, Allie. Well, I'm not thinking Star Wars at all. I'm thinking zombie apocalypse. No way. It was not David. You know it wasn't David Montgomery. David ain't going to jump off in there with Chris. He ain't going to do it. He'd as soon spit on him as he would even look at him. Man, this is a Mickey D's Krispy Kreme week. Didn't you know? Who's paying y'all? And if you're driving on the roads, are you safe?
It's on the road, yeah.
Well, I know you're on the road, but I mean, is this all folks coming from the border down there?
Yeah, it's going to border. It's actually going to Mexico and buses.
Doesn't mean they interpret it the same way that I do. For instance, the Second Amendment. I take it very literally. That's been interpreted different ways in the court system all the way up to SCOTUS. Yeah, that's only going to cause more division that he claims he doesn't want to cause. And it's only going to cause more suspicion. We're still right now combined on both pages and YouTube at 264 people watching. That is amazing, folks. Coleman Project, the Walker Place deal, through conscious, shocking action. The purpose of their actions was to stop plaintiffs, being the UL Coleman and associated groups not, from developing Walker Place. But here's the key thing, which in turn would enrich sitting city council members Scott Irwin and David Montgomery Jr.
You hit the button. Does that mean that people are seeing us sitting here talking and chatting?
In theory, it's an every week thing. We got to double check and make sure it's like a miracle any of this actually works. This Bossier Watch live broadcast is brought to you by the Outdoor News, fishing and outdoors for our area. Acadiana Mortgage, over 25 years in the mortgage business. Pelican Training and Consulting. Reach out to Julie Ferris. Smarter Geek, making technology easier. And folks sharing information and watching out for Bossier. Now, grab your popcorn and a drink. Here we go. And here we are for 196 shows. We'll have to figure out something special for number 200.
Yeah, we're going to have to do something special. Maybe we should get a special guest for show 200.
Whoever could we get on the show? That would be interesting. Maybe, remember that time that we did the call-in deal and had a whole string of people call into the show?
I do. It was for Christmas.
Yeah, and then they all got cluttered up at the front door and people were having to wait in line, and it was fun.
It was crazy. My phone was blowing up with.
Yeah. Maybe we need to try to do that in a less chaotic way. But all right, so I'm going to go ahead and switch screens. Let me see if I can get our guest in here. How about that? Let's talk about backwards H-Town. How about that?
I figured you wanted to go to Tech Apocalypse first, but okay.
He's on vacation, and so well, we got Christian. And we got you, Christian. We lost Duke, but oh well. Wait, there he is. Okay. So I'm a little quick on the trigger with the buttons tonight. Anyway, how are you doing, Christian?
Pretty good. How about y'all this evening?
Oh, not too bad. So I hear you're out of town, and still joining us on Bossier Watch. So, hats
Yeah,
off
so
to
we're
you.
up here in Colorado on a little family vacation. Actually, be coming home tomorrow. But when y'all invited me onto the show, I figured why not.
Yeah, well, what the heck? What could it hurt except your reputation, your business? I mean, everything else. But other than that, what could it hurt?
Exactly, exactly.
All right, Christian. Now I gotta ask this. You're in Colorado. I mean, was you doing something up there that made you build a building backwards?
No, 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 no. So how this
Okay,
all
I had to ask. I mean, I'm just sitting here reading between the lines, and I'm like, wait a minute now.
No, no, but no. I'm glad you did ask. And I know y'all kind of saw the article that KTBS put out. We actually interviewed for that about 2 months ago. Madison came by, and former Senator Ryan Gaddy is the one that kind of put her onto the story and said, "Hey, you need to go check these guys out in Haughton and see what's going on." And basically, the long and short of it is, in 2020, we decided to buy some land right there next to the Sonic, and now we have PJ sitting next to us. When we started our land search, we found that there was a lot in Haughton that couldn't be bought per se. So you could buy it, but they couldn't tell you where the road was going to be at by it, where you would have access, if DOTD would give you access. And so there were a lot of question marks. It just so happened that Sonic and the Reeser Group, who used to own it, had already gotten a curb cut onto their property, and it was a curb cut that could be shared with multiple businesses. And so we were able to purchase that property and have a curb cut. Whereas if we went a little bit farther down 157 to have 157 road frontage, or farther down 3227, that wasn't a possibility. That actually it was not doable at the time. Purchased the land and basically went right into planning with the NPC, with the Haughton NPC. It was a new thing for them at the time. Mr. Sam Marsiglia had just come on board from Bossier, kind of halfway out of retirement. And he said, "Look, we've got a new road plan. Here's kind of what we're looking to do." And we already had Sealy Real Estate. They own most everything else that's commercial right there. We had their master plan for the entire commercial development right there. So we kind of knew what they were planning, and we knew what Haughton wanted. And when we submitted our plans, the only option was to face the building towards the road that, was supposed to be coming. Shortly into the NPC planning process, we were approached by DOTD and asked if we would donate the right of way to them. The right of way being for the new road right out in front of our building. We, of course, obliged, but it's very expensive to donate things that you just bought. We didn't do it out of the kindness of our heart. We definitely feel a bit of a loss there.
So y'all didn't just offer up this land to the state and say, "Oh yeah, y'all can have
No,
it."
no, 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 no. They actually approached us and said, "Look, would y'all be willing to donate the right of way?" Sonic has already done it, and obviously the Rooster
Right.
Group is in the process of selling the Sonics at the time, and so they had actually already donated it, and they asked us, "Hey, would y'all be willing?" That was about $110,000 donation based on the price we paid for the land. So look, we did it. We knew the road was coming. And we were excited about the road. We were
Right.
we were more than happy to oblige. We were told at the time, in no uncertain terms, hey, 2 years and the road should be complete. Y'all should be seeing progress within the next year. And we're thinking to ourselves at the time, man, we've got a year left to even go on the building. We open up and it'll be another year. And hey, we got our new road in front of us. Well, fast forward to, let's see, March of 2024, and we still don't have a road. And there's no funding to even approve it. I've had multiple meetings with local and state officials. I've actually gone to Dodie's office and met with her after, or actually right before we had the groundbreaking for phase one of the project.
Right.
I've talked with several of our local diplomats, and right now we have no timeline or anything.
Well, so let me back up for a second though, and let me clarify. And remember, it's a live show, so no takebacks.
Fair enough.
So, who was it that promised or told you that they were going to get the road done within X period of time, whatever it was initially? Was it DOTD? Was it?
Yes, it was all initially from DOTD. We
Okay.
dealt with them directly. I forget the gentleman's name that I dealt with in the donation process.
Right.
There were two of them. One of them was on the legal side of things, and then the other one was kind of their spokesperson, so to speak. He's the one that approached us and contacted us. And we had a couple questions during that exchange back in 2019, 2020 timeframe. And they were met with pretty straightforward answers. Hey, 2 years, and we plan to have this thing up and going and done. And we had heard, hey, there's a bill. We've got the funding, already earmarked. We just got to get it approved and signed off on.
Mhm.
And it fell apart around the 2021, 2022 timeline. Funding was obviously reappropriated to other things. I think a lot of partisan politics and quid pro quo down in Baton Rouge played a big hand in this.
Yeah, sounds like it. Maybe things will be a little different with the new governor in office, but I I just want to go back to, did y'all have anything in writing from DOTD about putting the road, or is just a handshake and yeah,
So
we're going to do it?
no, so the donation of right of way, it spells out pretty clearly exactly what's going to be there, exactly
Right.
where it's going to be at. So we knew there was a road coming. They had to
Okay.
present us with a map of where the road was going to be. It spells out exactly what we're doing the right of way for. There is a legal document, but it does not have a timeline in that document. That was just left up to them. Obviously, in a donation document like that, they're not going to put a hey, we're going to be done in 2 years timeline. That's more when it goes to the appropriations and then obviously out for bid. We just asked a couple questions during that time and wanted to know when the road was going to come, and we were, like I said, met with a pretty quick answer of 2 years.
Well,
So,
yeah, that's your
so
hometown, Duke. What say you?
well, I'm just going to cut to the chase here. He was talking about quid pro quos and Baton Rouge politics. I mean, I'm reading between the lines here that this was Governor John Bell Edwards. Is that what you're saying?
So, look, I'm not in Baton Rouge. I can only speak on what I've heard and what I've been told after my meetings with, again, Doty and several others around the local politicians. I think that was a lot of it. I think he was wanting certain things done in order to approve funding like this. And Doty, from what I understand, stood her ground and didn't want to do that. And unfortunately, a big part of standing her ground was funding getting cut for the north half of the state. And it wasn't just this project. There are other projects that got funding cut, delayed, pushed. Or reappropriated. And that was kind of what happened with ours is it was reappropriated. And as y'all know, my development is very small in comparison to what's coming to Haughton. There's a lot of growth there.
Right.
We've had expansion after expansion after expansion, and it's great for the town. But right now, 157 and 3227 cannot handle that. In fact, in speaking with Doty at the time, right now the 157 widening only goes up to Interstate 20. She's wanting to get it extended all the way over I-20 to where another new development's coming on the north side of the interstate.
So y'all literally have your backs against the wall, so to speak, on this.
Most definitely we do. The most frustrating thing is, when you open a business, there's a lot of upfront costs that come to it. And one of those was not just opening the entire, strip mall that we opened up and then leased out, but also we own the liquor store inside of there. And there's a lot of upfront costs there, and there's a lot of betting on, hey, there's gonna be road out front. We designed the front of the building, spent well over $1 million on the building itself, and we designed it to look good. We want it to look good. We want it to look good to the public, and the back side of the building is not what attracts people. The front side of the building is what attracts them. And no matter how much signage you put up back there, people still drive by. There was actually a comment on KTVS's post. A lady lived across the street, vaguely. We don't have exactly across the street.
Right.
She lived what she called across the street for 2 years and didn't even know we were there.
Well, look, I've been through there I don't know how many times. I eat at that Waffle House all the time. I've eaten at the Sonic. I didn't know y'all were there.
Most
I hate to say it. I really didn't.
Yeah, no, and look, go ahead.
Well, I was going to take another step back a little bit. I've looked at it on an aerial map, and if you look at it on an aerial map, it kind of makes the road go kind of weird, even with more of a curve coming in behind the property there. What was the rationale, behind that? I mean, it seems to me where it does. I mean, the back where the road comes in the back of your building. Sorry to laugh. It seems like that's the appropriate place. So, what was the thought there?
The entire road change is designed around the fact they want to move the stoplight from the current position on 157 and 3227 up the hill just past the pilot to where the realignment's going to go. All this is to alleviate traffic on I-20, which have already extended our turning lane on exit 33. But traffic backs up on the interstate all the time. And so they're trying to alleviate traffic right there. And the only way to do that is to obviously push the light a little bit up the hill and then have people come in kind of in front of the store where they're supposed to. And from my understanding, the current 3227 will become a town road, and it will be a one-way right turn only road. So you won't be able to turn left onto that road. It'll be a right turn only to access the few things that are on there, the Waffle House, Superior Graphics, things like that.
Yeah. Very interesting. Well,
That
it
makes
just seemed kind of odd to all of us that we're going, wait a minute. They went ahead and put their store in backwards, but they didn't have any agreement with the state and, gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today or, some wine and spirits today type thing.
Most definitely. And look, a lot of people have asked us, well, why did you bet on the government? I don't have a mistrust in our government. I think most of the time they do the right thing. I think most of the time, they attempt to do the right thing. And there's no telling that even if we had gone to the NPC with our plans of facing it the other way, the opposite way it is now, they would have approved that because they've got to look at the long term approach and they've got to look at 25 years down the line when they've got an entire development out in front of where we're at now. Why is the store facing backwards? Now they're causing congestion in the opposite direction. So I don't put any blame on Haughton or the NPC there. They did their part. They secured their part of the funding. This all came down to the state level and their inaction, I guess, when it got to the desk.
Yeah, I'll blame it on John Bell. What the heck? All right. Well, we won't keep you any longer because, and we appreciate you coming on the show and talking for a few minutes about it. What all businesses are in that little shopping center?
Okay, so I'm going to kind of go outside of our shopping center even. So there's 5 of us there. I include the Sonic.
Right.
Then we've got Johnny's Pizza House. We've got Stacked and Tossed. We've got our liquor store. And then we've got PJ's Coffee, who just recently joined us on the other side of us.
Okay, yeah. So we'd encourage everybody watching, if you're around Haughton, swing in there, go around what should be the front side, but really the back side of the building because there are businesses there, and y'all spend a little money with them.
We sure do appreciate it.
Man, Haughton has changed since I was out there. It used to be all it was Pee Wee's Grocery.
A lot of changes through the years. I grew up in Benton, but our camp is right outside of Haughton in Dorleen. So I grew up going past the Waffle House and Pilot for years and seeing that as just timber. So now obviously live out there in Cornerstone. But yeah, it has changed a lot in my 28 years of life. And I know a lot of people have been there a lot longer than me.
Yeah. Well, you're welcome back on anytime. Try to keep us updated. If you see some movement or they get out there with shovels, start moving some dirt or something, let us know. And, we'll be glad to have you back on. And
yeah, for sure. I'd love to. I can't wait for the article to come out that they've gotten phase 2 approved and we're moving forward. So I'm excited to see phase 1 happen and let's hurry up and get phase 2 done.
There you go. Well, y'all enjoy your vacation and appreciate you coming on, Christian.
Thank you. Y'all have a great rest of your night.
All right. You too.
Bye.
Well, see that now everybody says, hold on, I gotta let everybody know. See, that was a slightly positive story that we did. It wasn't all negative.
And I almost screwed it up.
Uh-oh. How'd you do that?
Because I said, when he said, he's got a positive view of government, I started to say, well, you ain't watched Bossier Watch before, have you?
You're on the wrong show. This is not the normal news media. Well, look, he was pretty diplomatic about it. He's a business owner, and he's got to play nicely in the sand with everybody. And I just, of course,
but look, credit to him. Hat tip. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna cut you off. I'm gonna say it. Hat tip to him because when I first looked at it, I looked at the aerial view, and it didn't make sense to me why the road would go where they're proposing to do it.
Right.
And the explanation.
If they're going to move, if they're going to move the red light, that red light needs to be up there. I guess it would technically be south of the Pilot right there. Anyway, they need to move that red light regardless.
Correct. The only negative thing I can see is they're going to cut out them old oaks right there at the top of the hill.
Yeah,
there's a bunch of old oak trees that I can remember being there back in the day.
Oh yeah, they're cleared out a lot of that already, behind the Pilot station, or I guess it would be just west of it. And of course, they've cleared all that out where they built that subdivision in there. So growth. Maybe Haughton will eventually become larger than Bossier. Maybe they won't be as debt-ridden as Bossier, because I know Jeffrey Sadow was in the comments a few minutes ago.
Well, it's not from a lack of trying. I remember not long ago, they were trying to put some taxes on their people out there. Remember, we talked about it.
Right. So I would just say, not to put words in Christian's mouth, but based on what I was hearing, he mainly puts the blame at the feet of John Bell Edwards, not really Dodie Haughton or anybody else so far. And, just the crossed paths in the government there.
Yeah, and maybe a little misplaced government, because I don't know that I would have built a building backwards on a promise from them to.
I'd have built the building where you could go either way with the entrances, so that when they finally did get the road, we'll just move the parking lot around there. See?
Yeah. Okay. Well, where do we want to go? Tech Apocalypse, or do we want to go to Bossier City Council? versus
I'm intrigued by this tech apocalypse deal. What is going on with this? You've got me intrigued. We've got 60-something, nearly 70 people watching. So,
okay, slow night.
riddle me this, Batman. What happened?
Little slow night, but I will say that this applies to everybody. So, for everybody watching, and I'm not seeing any comments. Maybe nobody's out there. Is anybody out there? You seeing any comments?
Yeah, we got a few, but not a lot. There's about 15 or 16 comments.
Okay.
See, well, I'll put a couple up there. Christopher James Norris. He must have not seen Louisiana Watch since this is a Louisiana government issue. There you go, Christopher James Norris, helping us promote Louisiana Watch as well.
I'll tell you, Chris Norris. I mean, that dude is on fire.
He is. He is an overachiever.
He
is.
That's
perfect.
So for everybody, so like, let me randomly say to everybody, Rex, do you have a Nest device or a Google
no, I
Home
do not.
thing?
Well, I do have Google Home, but in my defense, I use them only as a Wi-Fi mesh system around the house. I don't use the talk to Google and whatever. Anyway.
Okay. Well, any of those type devices, all that kind of stuff, anything connected to a modem or to your internet, and you being the tech guy and all, I mean, I would have thought you would have known all this. But have you heard about the Restrict Act?
I have not. Educate me.
Well, let me see here. Some people call it the Patriot Act 2.0. So how many of y'all are familiar with the Patriot Act?
Yes, that was when everybody was gung-ho, hoorah, George Bush and everybody else, and we forgot about the Patriot Act that all the senators, Republican and Democrat, signed off on, and, well, that whole debacle. Anyway.
Oh, yeah, 9/11, and, we got the terrorists all waiting.
Got to get them terrorists. Be damned with our civil liberties, but I digress.
So I made some notes, and here's what everybody, and maybe before I read the notes, let's see here. Let's see if we can do a share screen.
Yeah, let's see.
Okay, that's not going to happen.
It's going to be. I can handle that. Let me see. Shall I bring up? Yep. Oh, I recognize that guy.
Yeah.
Edward Snowden. You have been down the Edward Snowden path? All right, hold on. Let me get it.
I have, but I think that everybody would benefit from hearing this little bit of commentary, regardless of how you feel, whether you like him, hate him, agree with him, whatever. But you ought to listen to this little tidbit as we enlighten you on the Restrict Act.
Yeah, and full disclosure, I'm an Edward Snowden fan for the most part, but here we go. Let's see if I can get the audio up.
But I saw something wrong, and I saw basically the government was violating the law. And what I believe to be the Constitution of the United States and more broadly human rights for everyone in the United States and around the world. There were domestic surveillance programs, there were mass surveillance programs that worked internationally. Basically everything that they could monitor, they were monitoring. And so they did this, and this became a mass surveillance program called Stellar Wind, which they said was supposed to monitor the phone calls and internet communications, emails, and things like that of everybody in the United States and around the world who they could get access to for links to Al-Qaeda. Because if you remember in the wake of the September 11th attacks, they were saying, we thought there could be sleeper cells of Al-Qaeda that were just, peppered all throughout the country and they were going to spring up at any moment. Of course, like weapons of mass destruction, it just didn't exist. It was all a power grab. But on that basis, they started doing this in secret, and it was completely unconstitutional. It was completely illegal, even under the very loose requirements of the Patriot Act. But they did it for so long that they got comfortable with it, and they thought, this is a really powerful capability. What if we started using this for stuff that was other than terrorism? Because it wasn't finding any terrorists, because there weren't any terrorists in this context that they were looking for them. Whether we're talking about Bush, right, whether we're talking about Obama, or whether we're talking about Trump now, all these guys were okay with a constantly growing surveillance state because they're the ones whose hands were on the lever at the time. They got to aim it. They got to use it. And that we were constructing a system of turnkey tyranny. And even if you trust that to Obama, you never know whose hand is going to be on that key next. And all they have to do is turn it. And there's nothing we can do to stop it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So So that was probably during Trump's term because he makes no mention of Biden. I don't even remember what the date was on that video, but everything that he was saying was on point, and the Patriot Act, we all know now how, there's been so many tenets of it have been abused and used and turned against the citizens of the country. But there is Patriot Act 2.0 today, and it's called the Restrict Act. And what the Restrict Act and how it's being painted to everyone is, have you ever heard of that little thing called TikTok?
Yes, I have. It is a time sink. So honestly, except for posting some short videos for us and all that, and the outdoor news, I don't spend much time on TikTok. But yeah, it's, obviously a very popular app.
Well, the evil TikTok and the Chinese, not that they're not bad, I'm not saying that at all, but I am saying that under the guise of the horrible Chinese and the TikTok, people, I'll
get on my soapbox about that in a minute, but go ahead.
We've got to cut it all off. We got to do something. So you've got the Restrict Act, Senate Bill 686. And in this thing, when you start getting down into the details, in which, since I can't share screen, I'd put cuts, and I haven't shared them. I'll put them in the folder, so I can't show them. But if any of you want, it's out there. This is kind of getting mainstream. Go look it up, the Restrict Act, and read it yourself. But in this Restrict Act, it gives the authority to the President of the United States, whoever that is, to appoint a quote-unquote Secretary of Communication. And that Secretary of Communication will then be able to form a group of people who will be able to meet behind closed doors, and they don't have to disclose anything. They can ban anything that they deemed a risk to security. They can just ban it. So included in there, and think about any hardware technologies. Earlier I was asking, does anybody have Nest? Or your routers or your modems, and all those things. They can suddenly just ban all of those, or deem whichever one of them a danger. And that ain't so much the bad part, but the bad part is like using a VPN to access some of the content that they've deemed bad. That'd be a criminal violation.
Wait, so say that again. Using a VPN to,
if you used a VPN to access these people who are unaccountable to the public, that are appointed by the president, if you used it to get banned content, you could be criminally prosecuted for that.
Well, okay, so there's a whole lot to unwrap in that technologically wise. Let me just start off and let me get on my soapbox about TikTok for a minute, and then we'll actually get back to Bossier stuff here in a few minutes, folks, I promise. But number one, I don't like TikTok that much because it's a time sink. You look up and it's 4 hours later. You just scroll through the things, and it's highly addictive. And I love technology and love social media. There's no doubt about that. But all this crap about, the Chinese are spying on us. If the Chinese want to spy on us, all they have to do is go to YouTube, for that matter. Or they can go to Facebook. If they want to spy on me and you, everything we do is public. So the whole point is, I have a rule. I don't put anything on social media that I wouldn't put out there on the billboard, or post, or say. I assume anything I comment or say to anybody, even in a private message, I assume they're going to screenshot it and post it somewhere. So that whole argument is absolutely ludicrous. Now, could the Chinese have a meme factory and a TikTok shorts video factory where they're pumping out all this content and using AI and trying to brainwash us? Yeah, maybe so. But I hate to say it, but if the public is too uneducated to be brainwashed by the Chinese on TikTok, oh well.
I got you. You know what? I agree with you. But here's the thing. This bill is giving the government, or not necessarily the government, the president and his appointee, who is not subject to public. You won't be able to FOIA anything.
Kind of like when the NSA literally had office space in AT&T's building. They were plugged in and literally vacuuming up all the data. They just didn't have enough capacity to process it. Here's the other thing you have to realize. Until we get quantum computing, which might be another year, might be 10 years, but until we have the capability to process things on a massive scale, it's fine that they want to suck up all this data, but using it is a whole other thing. And I would remind everybody there are ways to stay private on the internet, but you have to work at it. It's like being private and semi-secure or relatively secure in your home. You have to work at it. You can't just walk in your house and expect nobody to ever do a home invasion. You have to assume somebody's going to do a home invasion. So you need to take proactive measures in your home to help ensure relative safety. The same thing with the interwebs. Anyway, but I digress. So, yeah, unaccountability. Look, it doesn't matter whether it was Bush, Obama. Trump was no better. Period. Full stop. Trump was no better. He didn't do anything about the Snowden situation or the Julian Assange situation. And literally all those guys did was release information that didn't put any lives in danger militarily. It just embarrassed the hell out of our military. And so they're treated like criminals. But I'm getting on my soapbox here. So none of them are any better. Trump 2.0 is not going to be any better. And we got MJ. He's Speaker of the House. He could stop this in a heartbeat.
I would agree completely. And with that said, here's the thing. I just sent you an image that basically sums up what I'm getting at here. Okay. If you're okay with the government accessing or being able to use your Ring camera, or are going after you for finding you $1 million or possibly putting you in 20 years of prison because your Nest thermostat may be associated with a foreign-made country, or that the president of this day and time views that they should be able to control your thermostat and you altered it in some way to where they can't control your thermostat, then you are deemed a TikTok terrorist, according to this bill. It's government overreach. And there's more to this bill than just trying to protect you from what is alleged to be the evil TikTok. And let me give you another warning. Go ahead and do away with this one. What are you fixing to do? Are you fixing to empower?
It's like playing whack-a-mole.
Are you going to empower Zuckerberg with Facebook? Go ahead and give him the controls to everything, right?
Well, but again, it's like, remember, Russia. The Russians had infiltrated Facebook and they were swinging the election. Do you know what the grand sum of money spent by Russia was in the election? $150,000. That's a drop in the bucket.
That is exactly right.
It's all a distraction. Look over here as they do the shell game over here. And I don't have a tinfoil hat, but I'm just saying it's about power and distraction.
Well, you're absolutely, this is about power. I don't believe for a second this is about a distraction, but this is about putting some, unaccountable government bureaucrat and enabling the swamp, Republican and Democrat alike, to have more control of your lives and another tool and way to throw you in jail, fine you, come after you in any way they want. And this should be beat down on its face. And to the people that do, let's just say, for instance, let's say the Chinese are using your TikTok video of stupid crap to, learn what size underwear you wear or whatever, then make a bill just to address that. Make it to where you can't have TikTok. You can't even download it. If it's that big of a threat.
But why do you just trust me? Who does that sound like? Oh, that sounds like the Chinese government itself.
Yeah, why are you going to go after, my modem, or why are you going to go after my Nest thermostat, or why are you going to go after my Ring camera? And why does it have to be secret? Why has it got to be this secret process? Why does it have to be that?
Look,
just ban the app. If it's that bad, ban the app.
Yeah, well, I won't even get into the whole banning the app, but if you want to go down another rabbit hole, folks, look up Pen Trap, PEN Trap, TRAP. That's all I'm saying. All right. So yeah, I'm not trying to be a contrarian or disagree with you at all, but I just really get on my soapbox, and I'm still pissed off at, Bush, Obama, Trump, and probably Biden too, but he's a doddering old man, and probably will be pissed off at Trump 2.0 over the invasions of our privacy.
Well, we're losing Republican, Democrats, Independent, Green Party, whatever, all of you across the board. The government has too much power. They are abusing their power, and just something's got to change.
Yeah. Well, okay. So, why is Parks and Montgomery special guest? Mr. Billy Fraser Bridges, we are glad to have you watching and commenting. Are you suggesting that we have Juliana Parks and Queen David Montgomery as a special guest? That would be interesting. I very seriously doubt, because they both have standing open invitations to come on the show. I personally invited Juliana in the parking lot of the Bossier Municipal Building after the Charter Commission meeting. She wasn't having none of coming on the show, of course. So anyway, they have standing invitations, but that would be interesting. All right.
We have a language barrier there too. I mean, you and I are not to her level.
No, we're obviously behind the times, and we're not to her acronym level. We're nowhere near her on the acronym scale of 1 to 10.
No, can't have it.
You can go back and watch a few shows ago to get clarification on that. But anyway, appreciate the comment. So, let's see. Christopher James Norris says, Mr. Duke and Mr. Rex, we're talking about special guests for their 200 episode. Okay, so he was answering Mr. Billy's question. All right. So
the city council meeting today, it was pretty doggone boring. And
I've got it pulled up here, so if you'll just tell me where to go. Dadgummit, I keep losing you.
Well, that's okay. I'm here. Can you hear me?
No,
that's all.
I can hear you, but I can't lose the Thelma to my Louise.
I heard that. Well, I can jump out of the car as we go off the cliff, and leave you by yourself, but
no, you got to stay in the car. We got to enjoy the ride, the whole ride down.
Well, I'm here. I even have snacks sitting here beside me. But
be the one time we can share snacks. All right, so you were Mr. Overachiever and watching the city council meeting. I could not today, so I appreciate you doing that. So I don't know, cue this up. Tell me where to go.
All right. So just go to the 11:56 mark, and for the most part, this was one of those boring, mundane council meetings, and nothing that we're going to show you. Really, there's no fireworks here. But there's some interesting points that was made, and look, the king, if he carried himself like he did today in every meeting, I mean, I think he'd be a likable guy. I really do.
Maybe he's reformed. Maybe he's off the sauce. I didn't say that.
I don't know about all that, but let's listen to this right here at 11:56 and roll.
All right, here we go.
Introduce an ordinance for public utilities to fill a senior operating position, backfill any vacant position this creates, eliminate a vacant operator position, and increase the salaries for all water treatment division employees using the salary surplus available from staffing adjustments, resulting in a net neutral change to the 2024 water fund operating budget. First reading.
Second.
You're staring intently at this.
I thought you did. Second. First by Councilman Maggio, second by Councilman Williams. Comments from the audience? Questions from the council?
Yeah, I do, Mr. President.
I knew it.
This is becoming a kind of a trend here that when they promote somebody and then they don't backfill a position in somebody and then they give the money and give everybody pay raises in that department. I don't see it's really fair to all the other departments that don't have that luxury in order to give their staff and the people that work in that department a pay raise. That's just my thoughts. I'm sure it's not a popular
Now, I don't know
thought,
if what
but,
he's saying is accurate or not,
that's
but
my thoughts on
sounds
it.
like it.
Well, to your point, I think that we do that in other departments.
No, that's what I was saying, that it's becoming a trend now that that's what they're doing, not filling a position and then the money that's left over is spread out amongst the other employees in that department.
But I thought you said that the other departments are not able to do that.
If they don't have somebody that's leaving.
But I mean, that has happened historically. I'll just give you what we, prior to,
Here we
in
go.
the past, we'll leave it at that the council has sought to provide a pot of money to these departments. And if they feel as though that their department and how they need to run it, that they need to increase their salaries, we, as a council in the past, have allowed that latitude, regardless of which department it was, to retain the personnel that they.
Do y'all see what I'm
operate.
saying? He's talking
And they delete
calmly.
that position too.
Yeah,
Correct.
he is.
They're
Use
having
that
a
money.
good conversation and debate. It's-
No point of
I'm just
order.
giving you a rationale of what, in the past, why we've allowed that, because
Maybe he's on blood pressure
again, in
meds.
the past, we've chosen not to,
That's the way I feel when I
micromanage.
take my blood pressure meds.
and I guess.
Wait a
for
minute,
lack
stop
of
right
a
there
better
and back
term,
up
All right.
a couple of seconds, because he said
departments,
something right there.
All right, so let's see. We're at 1442. Let me back up a few seconds. All right, back up about 10 seconds.
Again, in the past, we've chosen not to micromanage, and I guess for lack of a better term. the
Okay, now stop.
departments.
You know how many things were on this agenda about approving employees and
But they've chosen
decisions?
not to micromanage anything.
Yeah, that was the funniest thing of all of this.
All right, so I'm being a little rhetorical here, but riddle me this. Why does the city council have to approve every little personnel decision? Why isn't that left up to the executive branch as long as he stays within budget?
Oh, you must be wanting some of the councilmen to get into a big fighting match up there.
I'm just asking the question.
Because I think the last time somebody did that, Chris Smith, him and Councilman Montgomery almost came to blows at a council meeting over that issue.
Well, maybe I'm wanting to see a boxing match again.
And Tommy was just standing over there like a deer in the headlights. I mean,
Well, Tommy's always standing there like a deer in the headlights. And look, I'm not saying that because I think Tommy's any genius in running things. I've made that abundantly clear. But I'm just saying, on principle, here's your budget, executive branch. Give us a monthly report or whatever, quarterly, whatever, monthly, whatever. Every 2 weeks, give us a quick report, whatever. But not get bogged down in the minutia of they've got to approve the salary for this department head, even though it's going to be revenue neutral, blah, 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 blah.
well, you're hitting some words there, revenue neutral, and the King was talking about, not micromanaging and talking about, we give a pot of money, one pot of money to work with and play with, essentially is what he was saying. And that's going to be important because there's another issue coming a little bit later up. And guess what? Councilman Darby weighs in on it.
Oh, now, Christopher James Norris, being the great commenter this evening, says, didn't Mayor Chandler bitch last year about having his authority not being able to hire folks? Why, yes, he did. And then he was promptly shut down by Queen David and has not made that comment again.
Yep. knows
All
his
right.
place.
Okay, so tell me where to go.
Well, I don't know what the time is. What time are we at now?
1442 is where I'm at the moment.
Oh, okay. Well, let's jump to the 1550 mark, and that thing kind of went on for a little bit more. Yes, Chris Davis, he did advocate that the 2% thing. We'll hear that in just a second.
Okay.
So Chris Smith tries to get in there and lighten the mood on things a little bit. And not that it was not contentious at all. I mean, King David actually he did well.
Strange.
Enough to cover groceries nowadays.
I think the point you might be trying to make, and I don't want to speak.
I made it.
Speak for you, is that police and fire, they have to fill all their positions. They don't have the luxury to get rid of positions to spread wealth around. I think is the point you're making.
Chicken in every pot.
All right, any additional comments?
Well, I mean, I want things to be clear, because we have had in the past where, and Chief Haughton's here and Chief Sagon, where they have actually restructured, and this goes back many years, where they may have felt as though their departments were top-heavy, that too many people had migrated, and we needed more boots on the ground. And correct me if I'm wrong, the two chiefs, that, we let those people, through normal attrition, disappear so that we had more money to put back with boots on the ground. Is that correct?
What?
And I do recall this was prior to Chief Haugen. I don't know if Chief Haugen
Okay,
has
you
done
can
it,
stop
but
it
I
there.
recall.
Yeah, because I don't want to listen to Richard Ray. What the hell did he just say?
Well, it's interesting because what he was saying was, well, we let retirements, or we let people, he was saying, migrate to let them move on, to lower the money, the budget for each department or what have you. I mean, that was what he was saying, but he didn't say it real well. But it's interesting because it almost is the same thing that Chief Zagoni is going to say here in just a little bit. Verbatim.
So Colonel Crockett has made a couple of comments, and I want to bring this one up. Police on the beat say they are undermanned. I think most folks will be shocked, and I do say shocked, if they knew how many officers in Bossier City were on patrol at any one time. You would be shocked to know that number.
Well, we have sought an interview with the chief and never got an indication that he wouldn't, whatever. Just didn't get no response whatsoever. Would love to have that conversation with him about it.
Right.
And we had the stats in the past on the staffing numbers of the department. And you're right, it seemed low to me then as well. But I want to go back, Chris Davis talking about the 2%, because at the 1550 mark, just before that, the King made a comment, and we would have had to have listened to all of that before then to get to that point. But, Brian Hammonds was making a comment in regards to, the fire department, police departments, and King David said, but yeah, the firemen and the policemen get a 2% pay raise every, or a 2% every year. And, Councilman Hammonds then says, well, a 2% doesn't even cover the cost of living. So if you're saying that a 2% meets the needs of, meeting salaries, it doesn't.
You're still falling. Yeah, you're still falling behind, especially in today's economy. So, Cassie Rogers puts up an interesting comment, a little long, but that's okay. Says there is an ordinance that restricts them and puts the hiring to the council. I was told that the previous mayor took advantage of the authority to hire and fire, so they restricted it. They have not removed the ordinance since the new mayor. And in some circles, some people claim that ordinance goes against, what's that document called? Richard Ray called it the Constitution for the city. Oh, the city charter.
Yeah, Cassie, you are absolutely correct on that. That is the case. And in fact, I was there at the fire department when that did happen.
Yeah. And Colonel
So-
Crockett reminds us Bossier City cut about a dozen police after the 2009 crisis and never hired them back. And if I remember correctly, Queen David was kind of at the forefront and the rest of the city council in doing those cuts.
So jump to the 24 mark. We'll skip Manchac and them, plugging themselves. It was kind of an odd thing. Ruttenbuck wasn't there. They had a stand in. But let's jump to the 24 mark. And interesting, we're talking about fire department stuff.
All right, well, here we go.
Motion carries. Adopt a resolution authorizing the possibility of early promotion due to the possible upcoming retirement of following positions: administrative assistant to the fire chief, chief of EMS, chief of special operation, master mechanic, and 2 deputy chiefs. First and final reading.
So moved.
Second. First by Councilman
So,
Smith, second by Councilman.
Stop for a second.
All right.
I think she said 2 deputy chiefs, administrative assistant, chief of EMS, and a mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she said one more, but she was talking fast, but that's a lot. That's a lot of administration are bailing out.
Yeah, what's the cause of the turnover or the churn?
Well, I mean, I don't 100% know. I mean,
bunch of folks retiring or what?
Well, look, I know that one person is a deputy chief that when I went to work in 1990, they're still there. Still there. So,
I don't know. Is it because, I don't know, maybe I'm getting too far ahead for now, but I mean, is it lack of pay raise? Is it lack of cost of living increase? Is it all those things combined? Is it lack of morale? I don't know. Or is it just normal churn? I don't know what the turnover rate usually is in the fire department anyway.
well, I mean, when you get in those administrative seats like the fire chief or the deputy chiefs, I mean, you're pretty much in the catbird seat. You're in a good position. And no, Val Baker, that is not how I would describe it at all. Rats leaving a sinking ship. No, I don't think that is the way I would use it. But let's dig a little deeper into this, and let's go to the 2433 mark, because here's where Councilman Darby weighs in, and he wants to ask some questions about all these retirements.
All right, here we go.
Max, Mr. President, I asked the chief if he could share if there's any net neutral or any type of increase with any of those promotions.
The people retiring, there may be a 3-6 month time where we're paying 2 at that position until they retire, and then it'll go back to just like it is right now. But we didn't hire the first quarter of the year to give us lagniappe to prepare for these situations that are arising. This is all starting June 28th with the first one retiring, one in August, one in September, couple I don't know when, another one before August. They won't say exactly when, and that's why I put possible and all that in here. I'm 90% sure all of these will, but there's other ones coming too. This is so many people hired in 93, 94, 95, and they're just all timing out at this time. So there's no way I can take the guy over the budget and bring somebody up that has no experience and no training, and they be able to do this job. So I need to have a little bit of time to get them trained to be able to learn what they're fixing to be over.
Hold on a minute. So I'm still confused. Help clarify this, and maybe I'm just not paying complete attention. Again, why the hell is the fire chief having to come up there before the city council to get approval to hire people to fill positions where people are retiring? Literally, he's replacing positions. What the hell?
Well, I think he's going to get to that, and why is this an issue, and why is Darby asking about net neutral? I think you're fixing to get to that, because Darby's fixing to redirect after his thing there. Your question's fixing to get answered.
So will there be any adjustment to salaries or not?
At some, when they get promoted, yes, there will be for a certain amount of time.
Okay, so how will we know if it's not net neutral?
It will be, it should be below net neutral, or because I didn't hire, we're 5 or 6, 8 people down right now, been that way. We'll start the hiring process around May. So you have those salaries between January 1st and May that you haven't been paid. That's the whole reasoning behind you being able to pay, because I can't bring them and ask them to do a position. They have a class plan. So if they're doing this job, you have to pay them for that job. You can't bring them up as say a captain and make them do administrative assistance pay. You have to pay them administrative assistance pay when you bring them up to train them. So.
All right.
Yeah.
So do we? Do you
Explain
need me to
that to me.
unpack that?
Yeah.
All right. So if you're moving someone up to, work in a position, that's a higher rank, in civil service, if you're working that job and you're working at that higher position, the differential in pay, you get that extra on your pay. So even though there is somebody in the position, currently, if you're working up into that position, you're duplicating having 2 people in the position. One person's working up in it to learn it underneath the person. So they according to civil service, they've got to be paid for that rank. But you have to go back a little further to unpack what he just said. He just said that, we've been working about 8 people low. I think he said 8, 6 or 8. And he said, by working low, the monies that you've appropriated or budgeted for us, we stopped hiring and have been running low. And he didn't quite say it the way I'm fixing to say it, but basically what he's saying is they stopped hiring and didn't put firemen on to be able to have extra money or savings in their budget to be able to pay for these duplicate people in these positions of administration that he may or may not have known was going to retire. So he's basically saying he was planning on there being a retirement. He knew that it was, or he suspected that there were. He didn't hire firemen in anticipation of, having to come back to the council and say, ask for, extra money to move this person up so that they can train and learn. That's what he's basically saying.
Okay. Well, that kind of makes sense. I mean, he's trying to, I guess, look out for the budget and stay within the numbers. Okay.
But to the net neutral thing, did he? So I kind of have a little bit of an issue with it, because at the beginning of the year, every department head, you should be padding your numbers. Pad your numbers with what you need, and just in case, and I don't know that money ever goes back. You don't give money back. When does departments of government say, "Oh, we didn't spend as much as we needed, we're just going to give it back"? They don't ever do that.
That never happens. All right. Very, very interesting. Okay, so what's next?
Well, anyway,
anything interesting? I mean, here's what again, it just goes back to, well, let me switch to the police department real quick. So if I remember correctly, in previous shows and things that we've talked about, the police department is actually budgeted for like another, I'm picking the number, but I want to say something like another 20 officers. That number kind of stands out, but that's probably not exact. Is actually budgeted for that, but they can't get them hired because the starting salary or the base salary or whatever that they're offering is not really up to snuff. Am I remembering that correctly on the police side of things?
Yeah, I think you're right. And
how that relates over to the fire side of it. So the way I'm hearing this is, or let me get you to clarify, Duke. Are there civil service rules for the fire department that if you work this position this is what it pays.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, let's say the Bossier Fire Department, can the Bossier Fire Department, let's say that for a captain's position, I have no idea, I'm picking a number. Let's say for the captain's position, it's $75,000 a year. Can Bossier offer more than that for a captain's position, or are they bound by what civil service says?
No, they're bound with the rate of pay that is set. But let me tell you something that happens, especially with administrative personnel. It was a joke, and I don't know. I think it's the same for the police department, but historically in the past, you would have administrative personnel. When you make it to administration or you make it to a chief's position, that's kind of towards the end of your career. That's the highest amount of pay that you're going to be able to get. So you start finding extra work as much as you can to be able to bump that average last 3 years or highest 3 years of salary up, because that is what your retirement would be based on. So if you had emergency incidents, I can remember, it wasn't Cordova Apartments, but over there off of between Barksdale Boulevard, I-20, and Old Minden Road, those apartments back there was some kind of hazmat type thing. And I can remember one fire chief and deputy chief spending an extraordinary amount of time, even quote unquote overtime, and allegedly they were trying to bump up, their pay because they already knew they were out the door trying to bump it up there. A lot of guys will work a ton of overtime. I'll tell you, even I worked a lot of overtime, just same thing. You try to get your average up at the end of the year, but you got to have manpower shortages to be able to do that. And that's not ever been a problem in Bossier. I don't know that staffing has ever been perfect in Bossier. I can remember, let me say this. I remember making a fire in Jack's quarters one time. We get to the scene, the captain radios on the fire truck and he says, "Engine 2 to headquarters." He said, "We've got a working house fire. If you'll dispatch another unit with a back end man on here, we'll be able to fight this fire." Because we didn't have a back end man on the fire truck. I mean, a captain can't go in by himself. You got to have somebody with you.
Yeah, what's that, the buddy system or whatever? Okay, so yeah, ongoing staffing or personnel issues. That's pretty much the gist of this. Is that correct?
Pretty much the gist of it. Much the gist of it.
All right. So what else is interesting in this meeting? Was there anything? I mean, it was kind of.
There's one more gem, and this is Man Shack. So go to the 2053 mark and
2053. So we're going to back up a little bit.
Yeah, going to back up a little bit. And basically what you have is, Man Shack has a contract for engineering for the city of Bossier. And, well, they're giving themselves a job.
Oh, really? Huh. This ought to be fun. Let's hear this.
Motion carries. Introduce an ordinance to contract with Manchac Consulting Group to provide design services for the rehabilitation of Brownlee Road. First reading.
So moved. Second. First by
Now
Councilman
stop
Williams,
it.
second
All
by
right.
Councilman.
That didn't take long.
I got a question for you. Which councilman is going to raise their hand?
Let's see. Queen David's looking like I don't know what, but Hammonds has got his hand up there, and usually he's studying something hard when he does like that. My vote's on Hammonds.
Well, you need to go to the boat. You would be right. Keep going.
Hole in the china closet. Here we go.
Maggio, comments from the audience? Questions from the council?
Yeah, Mr. President, I do. I see that Manchac, we're going to contract with them. I thought we already had a contract with them. Is there any reason why further up, we've already gone through it, that they could not do the consulting on the citywide street projects instead of paying an outside source when we're already paying Manchac?
Fair point. Up. Oh, it's not Red Buck. That's right. It's the substitute.
The Airline Drive project that we just put out. you'll see, excuse me here for my notes.
Hang on, everybody wait a second. I need to read my notes.
Yeah. Timeout.
Yes, so very similar to the airline drive project. So the design services that are outside of, I guess, our managing contract with the engineering contract, we'll be able to have geotech involved in this and surveying involved in this to, adequately improve the road.
Okay.
I mean, we have, the contracts with Beast, Nixon, Rayleigh. There's certainly other options out there, but we expect to be able to use our resources to expedite this work and get all the 2024 capital projects out and about before the end of the first quarter.
There's other options out there, but we don't bid.
Let me translate this. So they're not the real engineers. They're the supervisory engineers, right? They're just supervising all these other engineers that they're subbing out to. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I heard him say there's other options out there.
Yeah,
they got the engineering contract to determine the engineers, and and they determine themselves.
I want you to take a look right there at the expression on Queen David's face, and look at Hammond's. Look at the difference there. See the difference in those two guys?
Is anybody surprised here? I mean, this is just business as usual in Bossier.
Yeah. I'll remind you, Christopher James Norris, who says he didn't even really answer Councilman Hammond's dazzle them with brilliance or baffle them with BS. You choose which one that was.
And the only councilman to vote against it was none other than Hambone Hammonds.
Oh, yeah. Got to give him credit where credit's due.
So I do want to, so we're all into this all positive thing tonight. I want to tell you, and I want to give the city a little bit of a compliment. And while we're beating up on Manshack, I think maybe you should give Manshack a little bit of a compliment. I don't know if
I didn't hit the topsy-turvy button.
I don't know if they're, worthy or the ones to be responsible for get this compliment, but I got to tell you, I drove through Old Green Acres this evening, on the way coming home, get ready to come to the show. And I got to tell you, they're tearing up concrete left and right, redoing bad places in the road in there. I mean, I'm talking about, I drove down Melrose, and when I looked down every side street, it looked like there was a crew doing concrete repairs on every street in there. I mean, it was impressive.
Okay.
And they were working. They weren't just sitting under their tent, avoiding getting a suntan. They were working.
So since we've fallen and hit our heads and we're in the complimentary phase, so Manchac does the road repair part. Also, they're in charge of that too. Is that correct, or do we know?
They're divvying out all that stuff. It's
all
like
right.
They're like a dealer at a card game.
I want to give them credit. The street in front of my house, Hickory Ridge. They repaved Hickory Ridge. And do you know, not only did they repave it once, but twice, I tell you, they have repaved Hickory Ridge in the span of 2 weeks. Twice. They came in, and the spots where the garbage trucks are, sinking the asphalt down and all that, they came in 1 week, and they stripped all that asphalt out, and they brought the asphalt truck in, and they laid asphalt down those sections, and it wasn't even 2 weeks later, they came back, and they stripped the whole street up, including the asphalt that they had just patched, and they redid the whole street. Not what they are overachievers of a high order of magnitude. They redid Hickory Ridge basically twice in a span of just a couple of weeks. Overachievers. Thank you, Manchac.
It is, and I just wish Manchac would get to overachieving up here on Black Bayou, because all these bass boats, for some reason, it's the same time of year every year. They come screaming through this pocket right here where it's against the law. It's not wide enough within a certain amount of feet of the bank line. wide open, rooster tails are flying, and seawalls are falling in the lake every year. But the credit credit goes to all those benevolent overlords out at the Cypress Black Bayou Recreation Center.
There you go.
In their infinite wisdom, pulling up all the no wake buoys. Thank y'all all, because when the first death happens out here, it's going to be on all of y'all's shoulders. All of you.
So I have to say, there is a speed limit on Cypress. Is there a speed limit on Black Bayou?
Apparently not.
The speed limit's 50 or 55. Correct me. I fish Cypress and Black Bayou, but there is a speed limit. You're supposed to only go one way. What is it, counterclockwise or whatever? Do you know that?
Oh, yeah, I did know that, but there's no speed limit on Black Bayou. It is the Wild West up here. So y'all want to come
technically no speed limit in any of the lakes. But I got to say, it's generally... Now, I'm not saying they're being the safest drivers out there if they're, running up there 70 miles an hour or whatever, but my bass boat throws far less wake at 70 than it does at 25. Only at dead idle speed does it throw less wake. But those dadgum wake boats, now that's a different story.
There's no wake boats on the lake right now, but all I'm telling you is it's not a matter of when. It's just a matter of if. It's just a matter of when one of these bass guys are going to come screaming through this pocket and they're going to hurt somebody. It's going to happen.
Whose jurisdiction it ultimately is? Mr. Green Jeans.
Yeah, well, it's going to be on them when it happens.
Yeah, maybe
unless they get sued for property damage. One of the two.
Yeah. All right. So, anything else really, or what's? I mean, it was kind of a slow political week.
It was, and if you go to the notes, top of the page, I got a link to a Benny Johnson link, and shows Matt Gaetz. Did anybody get to see Matt Gaetz getting after her, the special counsel on Joe Biden?
No, I did not. So,
you got to watch it. It was
all right.
epic.
Let's see. YouTube. Where is that link at? Hold on.
Top of the page. Go above.
Oh yeah, the Benny Johnson. Yeah, I like watching his stuff. So give me a second. Let me get that queued up. And yeah, I agree, Ricky Bridges. We got to watch him. I don't know what it is about this cove that he lives on. It's a magical cove on Black Bayou, but we got to watch this guy. I'm just wondering
what all these bass boats are going to think when I take my ski boat and I go out and start doing donuts around them while they're trying to fish. Are they going to like that?
No, we'll just associate you with the jet skiers. You'll be you'll be in the same class as the jet skiers.
That's fine. I'm fine with that. Maybe I should be more economical, go buy a jet ski and come do it in jet skis. Yeah.
There you go. I need to do. You can be a little nat. That's even worse. We hate jet skis worse than ski boats.
That's perfect.
And your wife is reminding us before we get to Benny Johnson that Acadiana Mortgage is doing mortgages, so keep them in mind. That helps put food on the plate for Duke and Carol. We got to keep Duke and snacks on the show, so keep them in mind. If you have family, friends, or coworkers looking for a mortgage or know anybody, point them to Duke and Kara and Acadiana Mortgage over there on Benton Road. What's the address, Duke? Do you know the address off the top of your head?
1017 Benton Road.
See there? All right. So let me switch screens over here. Let's see. Rex share screen. Wow, that's a little bitty. Let me see if I can make that bigger. Hold on. Oh, there we go. That's much better. How about that? He was eating again. I am still at the office.
Nobody tell her.
I'm not. Shh, everybody be quiet. We'll keep this a secret just between us. Nobody rat Duke out to Kara. Okay. So anyway, and Val Baker says, plus the dog. Yes, got to feed the dog and the kids too. They got to give their kids some food every now and then. So anyway, all right. Shall I hit the play button here?
Let's hear it.
Chair now recognizes the gentleman from Florida. 5 minutes.
February 8th, the White House. Question, Mr. President, why did you share classified information with your ghostwriter? The President, I did not share classified information. I did not share it. I guarantee I did not. That's not true, is it, Mr. Hur?
That is inconsistent with the findings based on the evidence in my report.
Yeah, so it's a lie, is just what regular people would say, right? Yeah, all right. So the next one.
He said yes.
All the stuff that was in my home was in filing cabinets that were either locked or able to be locked. That wasn't true either, was it?
That was inconsistent with the findings of our investigation.
Another lie, people might say, right? Because what you put in your report was among the places Mr. Biden's lawyers found classified documents in the garage was a damaged open box. So here's what I'm understanding, right? As Mr. Armstrong laid out, you find in your report that the elements of a federal criminal violation are met. But then you apply this senile cooperator theory that because Joe Biden cooperated and the elevator doesn't go to the top floor, you don't think you get a conviction. And I actually think you get to the right answer in that. I don't think Biden should have been charged. Don't think Trump should have been charged. But under the senile cooperator theory,
I'm old and
isn't
I'm
it frustrating that Biden continues to go out and lie
I'm getting there too. That's the
about
excuse I'm going to
the
use.
basic facts of the report that lay out a federal criminal violation?
Congressman, I need to disagree with at least one thing that you said, which is that I
This is
found
good.
that all of the elements were met. One of the elements of the relevant mishandling statute is the intent element, and what my report reflects is my judgment that based on the evidence, I would not be able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt to a jury that that intent element had been
Right,
met.
but the reason you have that doubt is the senile cooperator theory. The fact that Joe Biden is so inept in responding that you can't prove the intent, which again, I don't quibble with that conclusion, but it's frustrating to be like, oh, well, this guy's not getting treated the same way as Trump because the elevator's not going to the top floor, so we can't prove intent. While at the same time, Biden goes out there at the White House and says, well, you know, he just blatantly lies. And what I'm trying to figure out is whether or not Biden's lying because he's still so senile. He hasn't read your report.
I could. Yeah, Matt's.
Is that
really
not
good.
golden?
He's like the Trey Gowdy, while Trey Gowdy is no longer there.
Everything is there, you know, but
The elevator's not going to the top floor.
You can't prove intent because you can't prove that the elevator goes to the top floor or not.
That was
And this
actually.
is the guy with the
I saw
nuclear
some of.
codes.
Yeah, I saw some of that on one of the TVs when I was eating lunch, but I kind of just halfway paid attention to what was going on. I missed this, or I would have actually really enjoyed listening to that.
And Christopher Norris says Ken Buck, you know, that was sitting there, and he is sitting right next to him. He's resigning from Congress, or not from Congress, from Senate. So now think about this. Supposedly that by him resigning, that makes it that he Boebert, you know, up there in Colorado.
Yeah.
So supposedly Boebert can't run for his vacant seat if, you know, it's a special election. She would have to resign her current seat to be able to run for in the special election, which she's already campaigning to run. You know, he wasn't going to run to the end of the year. So when the regular race comes around, she's already been laying the groundwork to run for that. And I think she could run anyway. But this would prevent her from, and y'all follow me here for a second. Him resigning now would prevent her from running for his seat, because what would happen if she resigned her seat right now? Think about it.
I got to follow the bouncing ball for a second, and it's been a long day.
Okay. What is the margin for Mike Johnson to be Speaker of the House?
Well, that's what I was going to ask, because I'm not sure how close that margin is.
It's one vote.
Oh, okay. Dum, dum, dum.
So him leaving, that screws it all up. And it really is kind of screwing her. And a lot of people are saying that he's doing it on purpose to try to block her and anoint someone else, you know, to be the heir to that seat.
Chess moves. 30,000 foot view, as someone we all know likes to say. Very interesting. And a little bit of national politics right here on Bossier Watch. All right. Anything else we need to talk about? I mean, we talked about skating backwards in Haughton. We talk about liquor stores. And look, I got to say, I'm so glad as we close the show out, I am so glad that we got the text message from our mutual friend, and he was so concerned about Doty's inability to get that road going out there and get that liquor store front facing to the public. I am so glad he's worried about getting that liquor store out there and making sure the public could get to it. Just saying.
Yep, Christopher Norris is right. He's got that right, and which I should have realized that it's not the Senate, it's Congress, and she was going to run, I guess, for that congressional seat rather than. And I think Chris is absolutely correct on that.
Yeah, and I want to say I have nothing against liquor stores either. I will be visiting them out there. Can't buy Bud Light anymore though. What beer is everybody drinking now anyway? Since you can't drink Bud Light, I mean that's like against the law, basically. Miller Genuine Draft. Let's turn this into a beer commercial.
Oh no. Merlot
Well,
for me.
You're a wine drinker. See, I don't drink the grape juice. I gotta have the barley and hops.
So on Louisiana Watch on Thursday,
you just right over that topic.
Okay. So this thing in Caddo Parish, right? Yeah, I'm ignoring you. I'm trying to move on. Quit laughing. You're distracting me here. I'm trying to focus. So for you Bossier people, they've got some interesting stuff going on in Caddo. So you've got the Caddo Mama Bears, right? And so that's kind of like the political activist group in Caddo Parish that is opposing, in the kind of the biggest way, the Whitehorn regime. Now, the Whitehorn people, that's all the Perkins people. You got a lot of people. They made a lot of threats over there and accusations, and one of the terms being used is we're going to be thugging.
Thugging for Whitehorn.
Thugging for Whitehorn. A lot of things that seem questionable to me on there, but I mean, I don't want to say exactly. We're gonna let Lisa Massengale, she runs the Caddo Mama Bears, and they've specifically they're talking about. I mean, I think there's some quotes about that once Whitehorn wins, y'all gonna be run out to Bossier. Talking about running people out. Whitehorn's talking about releasing everybody out of the jails, and
I gotta say it's kind of the lesser of two evils. Not that I think Nicholson is evil, and I'm not sure I think Whitehorn is evil. He's just playing the part. And I don't think John Nicholson's evil, but he's, look, you were there in the interview we did on Louisiana Watch with him. He is not. He claims he's a Second Amendment guy, but anybody that prefaces it with, I'm a Second Amendment guy, hunt and fish, and I've taken pictures with guns. I don't know. I just wasn't totally thrilled with his answer. Although I would, if I had to vote in Caddo Parish, I don't know. I might lean towards not having the former CAO for Adrian Perkins as my next sheriff if I were able to vote. I don't know. It's hard to make a judgment call on that one.
I don't know. I don't think it is for me. Whitehorn is a no-go. No-go.
I'd have to stomach Nicholson's soft stance on the Second Amendment and probably pull the lever for him. But we'll see what the Caddo Mama Bears have to say.
When you proceed to start throwing threats out there, and you're allowing your people to start threatening people,
thugging for Whitehorn,
thugging and all that crap. I mean, I've watched some of the videos and some of the content, and it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. Yeah. I mean, and look, we tried to get Whitehorn to come on the show. He wouldn't come on. He wouldn't even respond to a call. And we're not the only ones. There's countless people. So
we're fair to all our guests. Bossier Watch, Louisiana Watch. We're very opinionated and obviously have our stances, but we try to be very fair to the guests. Doesn't mean we give them softballs, but we try to be very fair. Well, and we would be fair to him as well.
Yeah, we would be, and we would have been unbiased. But now, because he chooses to be the quote unquote stealth candidate, and if there is a logical explanation for allowing your campaign people to make threats and to intimidate people, okay, I want to hear it. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Let me hear it. But he chooses to not. So there, Nicholson all the way, baby.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. All right, so that means, folks, y'all need to join us Thursday evening. We might be a little technically challenged because I'm going to be out of town, but we're going to be doing the show remotely, so I should have a good connection, so it should work out just fine. So it should be interesting. Caddo Mama Bears on tap for Thursday night for Louisiana Watch. What else, Mr. Lowry?
Well, Christopher Norris wants to know when we're going to have some more crawfish vid.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Overachiever here. That is completely my fault. I had to get these pesky tech customers that help pay the light bills and all that out of the way. As, by the way, we're trying to, and we've made no bones about it, we're trying to eventually be able to spend a lot more time doing Bossier Watch. So if you can help in any way, shape, form, or fashion, whether that's buying a coffee mug, buying a hat, just donating a little money. Look, even just liking and sharing posts, if that's all you can do or want to do, that's fine too. But make sure you like and share the content if you enjoy it, because eventually, Mr. Lowry, we are going to be social media influencers. How does that title sound?
Ooh, a social media influencer.
I would say we've had a big influence on Bossier City and the parish.
We keep saying we're going to influence the other ones, and we've influenced the parish. They hate us. They all hate us. Yeah, we've influenced that too.
Yeah, see, we're it's negative influence, but we're influencing them.
We just got to get Shreveport to hate us now.
Yeah. So anyway, look, how y'all can help in all seriousness, you can go to bossierwatch.org or bossierwatch.com, same place. I've got a t-shirt up there, but it's not worth a flip, honestly. I'm going to try to improve that. There's some coffee mugs. I got a couple of hats left. That helps pay the bills. And eventually, if you know somebody that may be interested in helping sponsor Louisiana Watch, Bossier Watch, or the Outdoor News, or all the above, reach out to us. Let us know, because we are still stepping on the gas pedal slowly but surely with this. And, we still got to work sometimes to go pay the bills. Duke, you still got to work on trucks, and y'all trying to mortgage houses and do all that sort of thing. So still got to do that, and crawfish. But, yeah. Anyway, one of these days we'll be the social media influencers of Bossier. Negative influencers. I want that to be our official title.
Oh, come on now. You're gonna turn around and make us one of us the cockroaches of the week.
Yeah, and look at there. See there, Brother Ed Gonzalez, good longtime friend of mine over there in Shreveport, says, I want my cup and hat. Well, place my order tonight. I will custom deliver the hat to you, Brother Ed.
Thank you, Brother Ed. Well, that's all I got for tonight, my good friend.
All right, and we thank everybody for liking and commenting. Thank you, Christopher James Norris, for all the comments, including the crawfish vid comment. We appreciate it all. Whether you agree with us or not, we're out of here.